His hand closed around her arm the moment she stepped out from behind the counter. Not rough. That was the part that made it frightening. He didn't grab. He just placed his hand there, fingers curling around her elbow, with the particular calm of someone who had practiced this exact motion until it looked like affection. "We need to talk," he said. Quietly, the way you say it to a child you are very, very disappointed in. Laura Mercer kept walking, eyes forward, chin level, moving the way she had taught herself to move in the last 2 years. Measured, ordinary, like a woman whose afternoon was completely unremarkable. Nobody was watching. That was what Nathan Greer had always counted on. Laura reached the counter. She picked up a cleaning rag. She set a coffee cup down in front of the man who had just sat down at stool 3. A man in a leather vest, silver in his hair, and the particular kind of stillness that belongs to people who have nothing left to prove. She did not look at him. Her left hand pressed flat against the laminate countertop. She raised 3 fingers, curled the 4th down, and the 5th, pressed her thumb flat across her palm. 2 seconds. Exactly 2, then let her hand fall. The man on stool 3 did not react. He lifted his coffee cup, set it down. And then, slowly, the way a man moves when he wants nothing about him to appear hurried, he turned and looked out the window at the parking lot. Nathan settled into booth 7 like he owned it. He crossed his ankles, straightened his cuffs, smiled at the wall. He had no idea what she had just done. He had no idea what it meant. He had no idea what was coming. Stay with me. Because what he does next, nobody in that diner saw it coming. And neither will you. This is Heart Tales. Stay with me. Nathan Greer had spent 9 days watching her schedule before he walked through that door. He knew her shift ended at 2. He knew her daughter's school was 3 blocks north. He knew exactly how much time he had. He was 41 years old, lean through the shoulders, eyes always slightly ahead of the conversation. He was the kind of man who did not raise his voice because he did not need to. The kind of man who always had more time than you thought he had. He had found her in Ridgecrest the same way he had found her in the 3 places before. That. He waited. Laura Mercer was 31 years old, a diner waitress. 1 daughter, 7 years old, Chloe, who collected animal erasers in a shoebox under her bed, organized by species, and called thunderstorms the sky talking. She was the reason Laura got up every morning. She was the reason Laura had packed 1 duffel bag 2 years ago, taken her daughter out the back door of their house in Flagstaff, and driven until Nevada was behind her. And Chloe was asleep in the back seat with her erasers clutched in both hands. She had not been fast enough. She had never, not once in 2 years, been fast enough. The man on stool 3 was named Warren Ironsides Grady, 56 years old, a face that had been rearranged a few times and made peace with the results. He moved through spaces the way large men sometimes do, with a deference to his own size, careful not to take more room than he needed. He had walked into Ridgeback Diner at 11:47, ordered black coffee, settled in. He noticed the dark blue sedan in the parking lot at 11:53, engine off, driver still in the seat, watching the entrance in the particular way of someone who has decided they are not leaving until they get what they came for. At 12:02, the man from the sedan walked in. Warren had seen that walk before. Not this specific man, but that specific walk. The cadence of someone who has made a decision and is simply allowing time to catch up with it. He watched in the window's reflection, watched the man put his hand on the woman's arm, watched her not flinch, which told Warren more than a flinch would have. A flinch is surprise. What she did was absorb, the way a person absorbs something they have absorbed many times before. Then she walked to the counter, her hand pressed flat. Warren was already watching her hand when she made the sign. 3 fingers up, 2 curled down, thumb flat across the palm. He went completely, absolutely still. He had last seen that sign 9 years ago in a garage in Laughlin, Nevada. Taught to him by a man named Daniel Mercer. Quiet, deliberate, the kind of man who said things once and meant them permanently. Daniel had ridden with his chapter 4 years before a heart attack took him on. A Wednesday morning, with his coffee still hot on the kitchen counter. That afternoon in the garage, Daniel had shown Warren the sign and said, simply, "She's going to need people who understand this. Teach it to the chapter." Warren had taught it to 6 men. He had not thought about it in 4 years. He looked at the woman behind the counter. She had her father's jaw, the way she held her head, slightly forward, like she was always moving into whatever came next. He did not move for 7 seconds. He counted them. Then he set down his cup, left 2 $20 bills on the counter, and walked out into the September sun. What he did next, nobody in that parking lot expected. Stay with me. Outside, Warren made one phone call. It rang once. Talk. Bobby Crane, the chapter's road captain, a man who communicated in fractions of the words that most people used. "It's the Mercer signal," Warren said. "Daniel's daughter. She's inside Ridgeback Diner on the main strip." Man followed her in dark blue sedan, been sitting the lot 9 days. He's in the booth, waiting for her shift to end. A pause. Then, "She have a kid? 7 years old. School's 3 blocks north. How many do we need?" Warren watched Laura move between tables. Smooth, practiced, completely convincing to anyone who hadn't learned to see what controlled fear looks like from the outside. "All of us," Warren said. The line clicked. He pulled out his phone again and typed to the number the chapter's relay had already found. "Don't look at the lot. Keep working. You're Daniel Mercer's daughter. We see the car. We see him. We're already here." Inside, Laura felt the buzz against her hip. She read it once, twice. She looked up at the window for exactly 1 second and saw a motorcycle at the far end of the street, moving slow. Another easing out from between 2 buildings. 2 more from the direction of the highway, spreading out the way pieces on a board. Press spread. When someone who knows what they're doing begins to play. They were not rushing. They did not need to rush. She put the phone in her apron, picked up the coffee pot, walked to table 4 with her hands completely steady. "I need you to understand something before we go any further." What Warren was building was not a confrontation. Confrontations end. He was building a door that would close behind Nathan Greer and never open again. But you need to see how. Nathan walked to the counter at 1:17 p.m. He waited until the crowd thinned, until Laura was alone with her back half turned. "You look tired," he said, the voice soft. Considered, the kind that sounds like concern and functions like a scalpel. She did not turn immediately, finished what she was doing, then turned. "I'm working," she said. "I can see that, the patient smile. I'll wait." She thought about Chloe, about the yellow jacket she'd worn this morning, about the erasers organized by species. "Nathan," she said, keeping her voice in the narrow register that gave him nothing to grab. "You need to leave." He tilted his head, a slight familiar angle. "We have things to discuss about Chloe," he said. There it was. He saved that name for when everything else was failing. The master key. He carried it carefully, brought it out at exactly the right moment, and watched it do its work. Her jaw tightened. He saw it. "She's my daughter too," Nathan said, measured, reasonable. "Designed for any witness. You don't get to make that decision for her, Laura." He leaned forward, just slightly, the same half-inch that had always meant the same thing. Or what? Across the street, Warren watched through the diner window. Bobby Crane had appeared beside him, the way he always appeared without announcement. "Now?" Bobby said. Warren watched Nathan's hand move to the edge of the counter, watched Laura's eyes track it, watched her recalibrate. "Not yet," Warren said. "If we go in now, he walks out and finds her alone tonight, or he goes for the girl. We don't move until we can finish it." He typed one line to Laura's phone. 12 minutes. You're doing fine. Cord has Chloe." Inside, Laura felt the buzz. Did not reach for the phone, but something in her steadied. Some small structural thing, like a wall that had been leaning for a long time finding its footing again. 12 minutes. She had survived 2 years. She could give 12 minutes. Her phone buzzed again minutes later. Cord has Chloe. She's safe. She thinks it's a surprise. She's asking for chicken nuggets. Laura pressed her lips together. Exhaled through her nose, slow and quiet, so nobody saw. Chloe was safe. She could deal with everything else. She finished her shift in 38 minutes. Said goodbye to Marcus in the kitchen, to Deb at the grill. Normal. Unhurried. The performance of a woman whose Tuesday was proceeding without incident. When she pushed through the employee exit into the back lot, Nathan was already there. Leaning against the wall beside her car, arms crossed, one ankle over the other. The posture of a man who had never once considered the possibility of not getting what he came for. Her phone lit up. Engine on. Pull out normal. We're surrounding the route. He won't see us, but we'll see him. She got in, turned the key. The drive took 9 minutes. 9 minutes of Nathan's sedan in her rearview mirror, steady close, the gaps between their bumpers never varying. She kept her speed at 28 miles per hour. She passed the laundromat where she'd found the diner job. The bakery on 5th where the bread was always a day old and 50 cents cheaper. The park where Chloe had once spent 45 minutes explaining the logic of her eraser collection to a stranger who had not asked and had listened anyways. With the patient decency of someone who understood that 7-year-olds require that from the world. 2 years of this town. 2 years of building something small and careful and real. She looked in the mirror. And then, something she had not seen in 2 years, a motorcycle slid into the road behind Nathan's sedan, unhurried. Then another from a side street. Then one more from beside a gas station, easing out with the calm of a man who knows exactly where he is going. They didn't rush. They didn't cluster. They spread out like fingers opening. Quiet. Present. Unavoidable. If you've ever been in a moment where everything you've been running from finally catches up with you, you know what the next few seconds felt like for Loser Mercer. Hold that feeling. Because what comes next is the thing she had stopped believing was possible. She turned onto Sagebrush Lane at 2:24 p.m. Nathan pulled in behind her, blocking the driveway exit. And then she heard it, low first. A single note, almost below hearing. Then another layering beneath it. Then 2 more. Then 3. Something that was not one sound anymore, but a chord. Low, sustained, settling into the chest the way sound settles when it has mass behind it. Engines. Within 45 seconds, 14 bikes had sealed the street. No screeching, no shouting, no chaos. Just engines. Just men. And the particular silence that lives between the engines, the silence of people who have decided. Afternoon light caught the patches on their backs, red and white, bright as a decision. Nathan Greer stepped out of his sedan. And for the first time in 2 years, Laura Mercer watched the certainty leave his face. Warren rode at the front. He stopped at the driveway entrance, swung off his bike in one slow movement, and stood in the afternoon light with his hands loose at his sides. He was not performing anything. He did not need to. He tapped the roof of Laura's car once. Gently. Stay inside. We have it. Then he turned and walked toward Nathan Greer. He stopped 8 feet away. Said nothing. Did not arrange his face into a threat. Did not square his posture. Simply stood there, completely without urgency, and looked at the man. Nathan tried to hold the silence. He was very good at silence. He used it as a weapon, as a test. He had watched people break under it for years. He broke first. This is a private family matter, he said, the reasonable voice. You have no business. You've been following her for 2 years, Warren said. Quiet. The kind that doesn't need volume. Nathan blinked. I'm sorry? 14 violations of a protective order. We have the dates. Warren held up a folded document. Flagstaff, November 17th. Tucson, February 2nd. Henderson, April 29th. Bobby appeared from Nathan's left. Without announcement, the way he always did. The Mojave County Sheriff got a package this morning. He's expecting your plate by end of day. Nathan's eyes swept the circle of men, found no gap. I have legal rights, he said, the last card. She cannot keep my child from me. I have a court order. You had a visitation agreement, Warren said. You used it to locate her twice. The judge amended it 8 months ago. You know that. The engines growled once, low, controlled. A sound that traveled up through the soles of your feet before you understood it with your ears. Here is what happens now, Warren said. You get in your car. You drive out of Ridgecrest. You do not come back. You do not call her. You do not go near that school. He held Nathan's gaze. The law has your name. The county has your file. And we. He glanced back at the men behind him. Just once. We know what town you drive through on the way to wherever you go next. Nathan Greer ran out of options the way men like him always do. Not all at once. One by one, each exit closing as he turned toward it. He looked at Warren, at the folded document, at Laura's car. He was looking for the fear. He had cultivated it for years. He knew exactly what it looked like. The held breath, the eyes that wouldn't hold contact. He knew how to find it. He could not find it. Nathan Greer got into his sedan, backed out too fast. Bobby and a man named Ruiz peeled off the formation, 2 bikes falling in 20 feet behind the sedan. Steady, unhurried, escorting him to the county line. 3 miles past the city limits, Deputy Harmon pulled out from a dirt turnout and ran her lights. Nathan pulled over, arranged his face into the expression he used for law enforcement. Cooperative. Slightly confused, the deputy was a woman in her late 30s. She had the economy of movement of someone who had been doing this long enough that nothing surprised her. Mr. Greer, she said. She didn't make it a question. She held up a folder, thick, thicker than he had imagined anything about him could be, because he had been careful. He had been methodical. He had been, he believed, invisible. She walked him to the patrol car with the professionalism of someone who did not enjoy this part of the job, but understood it was the part that mattered most. Nathan sat behind the wire partition and looked out at the Nevada desert. Flat, dry, stretching in every direction without apology. He thought about Laura, about the sign she had made to a man she apparently knew, about 14 men on Sagebrush Lane, and a deputy who knew his name before he said a word. He thought about how long he had believed that his patience was the thing that made him right, and somewhere, in the back of that patrol car, in the silence of a man who has just run out of road, Nathan Greer understood something he had spent 2 years refusing to understand. That the thing he called love had looked, from the outside, nothing like love at all. He looked at his hands on his knees. Something in him went very quiet. The kind of quiet that arrives when a thing you have believed for a long time finally runs out of room to stand. Deputy Harmon finished her form, turned on the engine. "You'll want to call a lawyer," she said, not unkindly. The motorcycles were already gone. The engines faded down Sagebrush Lane one by one. Warren waited. He was good at waiting. Laura sat in her car for a long time. Not because she couldn't move. Because she needed a moment to understand that the bracing had stopped. That specific thing she had been carrying in her body for 24 months. The constant, low-frequency tension. The way her eyes swept every room before she let herself breathe. It had not disappeared, Weisman. It was too old for that, but it had quieted. Like a frequency that had been playing just below hearing for so long you'd stopped noticing it, and then, abruptly, it wasn't there anymore. She opened the car door. "You did good," Warren said. She almost laughed. "I made a sign and stood there. You kept yourself and your daughter alive for 2 years. You built something out of nothing 3 different times. You got up every morning." He paused. "That's not nothing. That's everything." Cord appeared from around the corner of the house with Chloe on his shoulders. Chloe had a cluster of French fries in one fist and was looking at the motorcycles with an expression of pure, uncomplicated fascination. "Mom," she said, "there are a lot of motorcycles. I see that. Are they your friends?" Laura looked at Warren. Warren looked back at her with the expression of a man leaving that question entirely to her. "Yes," Laura said. "They are." Chloe considered this. Ate a French fry. Cool. Later, after the brothers gathered and said what they had to say, after Bobby confirmed Nathan was past the county line, after Stovall handed Laura a thick envelope of evidence that was now hers. Warren reached into the inside pocket of his vest. He produced an envelope. Small, white. Edges soft from being carried a long time. Her name, written across the front in handwriting she knew the way you know a voice. Her father's handwriting. He gave it to me about a year before he died, Warren said quietly. Said to hold on to it. Said I'd know when. He extended it. I think this is when. She turned away from the men and opened it. One page. Her father's script, careful, deliberate, the writing of a man who did not write often and treated it accordingly. Laura, if you're reading this, it means someone kept a promise. It means you needed them, and they showed up. I'm sorry I'm not there. I thought about what to leave you for a long time. I didn't have money in any meaningful sense. I didn't have property. I had knowledge of how the world actually works, which is harder to hand down than either of those things, so I gave you brothers. They are not perfect men. None of us are. But they are men who show up. Men who keep their word when it costs them. Men who understand that loyalty is not something you announce. It is something you do at inconvenient hours when nobody is giving you credit for it. Let them help you carry what I can't. Teach Chloe the sign. The way I taught it to you, in an ordinary place, on an ordinary day, with the seriousness of someone who knows what the world contains. Tell her it means there are people who will come when she calls. Tell her she is never alone. Tell her someone made sure of that before she was old enough to need it. I love you more than I knew how to show you, Dad. She stood in the September afternoon and read it twice. She did not break. She did not fall apart. She stood very still while something that had been wounded tight inside her. For 2 years, went slowly, incrementally quiet. Her father was gone. He had been gone for 4 years. But he had thought of her. He had planned for her. He had loved her in the particular way of a man whose love was practical above all else. Not because the feeling wasn't large, but because he understood that the feeling alone doesn't hold. That love has to be built into something that's up when you're not there. He had built it into 11 men and 1 sign. That evening, after dinner, after Chloe changed into pajamas with small blue clouds on them, Laura sat down on the floor beside her daughter. I want to show you something, she said. 3 fingers up. 2 folded down, thumb flat across her palm. Chloe watched with focused attention children give to things that feel important in a way they can't fully name. What does it mean? Chloe said. It means help is close. It means there are people in this world who will come when you call. No matter what, no matter when, no matter where. Like superheroes, like family, Laura said. The kind you don't always share blood with. The kind that shows up anyway. The kind that makes a promise and keeps it even after the person they made it to is gone. Chloe practiced the sign. Got the thumb wrong the first time. Got it right the second. Did Grandpa teach you? In a cold garage, Laura said. On a Saturday, I thought it was a little dramatic. Was it? No, Laura said. It was exactly right. Chloe nodded, satisfied, in the way of children who have received a complete answer. She held the sign up one more time, checked it, seemed to find it acceptable. Cool, she said. Put her hand down. Picked up her book. Was asleep within 12 minutes. Laura sat on the floor long after the breathing went slow and even. Outside, at the far end of Sagebrush Lane, a single engine rolled past, slow and steady, Reese's nightly pass, exactly as promised. The sound of someone keeping their word without being asked if they were going to. She just listened. The engine note faded past the cottonwoods, past the intersection. Gone. Absorbed into the Nevada dark, leaving nothing behind but the ordinary sounds of an ordinary neighborhood on an ordinary Tuesday night. Somewhere a screen door opened and closed. A sprinkler started up 2 houses down. The refrigerator in the kitchen made the sound it always made at this hour. A low, settles hum, domestic and unremarkable, and completely, entirely hers. She held her father's letter in both hands and did not open it again. She already knew what it said. He had given her brothers. She had called them. They had come. She sat there until the sprinkler stopped and the neighborhood went still, and the only sound left was Chloe's breathing. Slow, even. The breathing of a child who had never once doubted that morning would come. Just that. Just the breathing. Just the quiet. It was more than enough. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse or coercive control, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day. The number is 1-800-799-7233. Free. Confidential. Available by call or text. You do not have to have all the answers. You only have to make the call. If something in this story stayed with you, a moment, a decision, a feeling you can't quite name, tell me in the comments. I want to know which part hit you hardest. I read every single one. If you're new here, this is Heart Tales. Subscribe and stay. There's always another story worth hearing. 2 more are waiting for you on screen right now.